Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Parents Guide to Google Classroom. My name is Daniel Roberto, and I'm one of the Technology Integration Specialists for the district.
And I'm Andrew Nicola. I'm another Technology Integration Specialist for the district. So we are excited that you are here with us this evening so we can give you a snapshot and an overall perspective of the guide to Google Classroom as we start our remote learning journey on Thursday.
I want to thank everyone that has submitted questions to the form. We're going to only be able to answer questions specifically to deal with Google Classroom and working through the workflow of accessing assignments, submitting them, keeping track of student work, and just developing a good workflow for your student as they're in the remote learning environment. We're going to go live with a presentation, and then we'll also model what we're teaching in here. And then as we're all done, we will get to the question and answer portion of this evening's talk. So feel free at any point, if you have any questions as we go along, to enter them into the form, and we will do our best to answer them. So with that being said, Andrew, shall we get started?
Yeah, let's get started for everybody. We will post the slide deck that you're seeing, as well as any materials, and obviously this video you can review and refer back to as needed.
Great.
So, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead. It's all yours.
So Wappinger Central School District, is a Google Schools for Education district. And, with that, it makes our platform for learning, distribution, accountability, feedback for our students quite simplistic. And we try to keep everything curated and collated in one spot. And that's where Google Classroom comes into play.
So if you think about Google Classroom, this is going to be your child's digital link to learning. This is going to be the home base. This is what Wappinger is using as its main platform to communicate with students. This is where assignments will be pushed out, where Google Meets will be accessed from, and this is also where students will be able to submit their work and mark their assignments as complete. So we'll be using this for all the means to get learning experiences out to your students.
So when we talk about getting started with Google Classroom, there is a secure login password that is unique to them as part of their Wappinger Central School District account. You don't have to set up a separate account for your child. It basically is set up in the district domain, and that way we can ensure that the teachers can connect with your students. The same format is always used with the student first name, last name at k12.wcsdny.org. The password is the first name of your student with the student ID number. That is for all students in the district. Please do note that the password is case sensitive, so the first letter of the first name will be capitalized.
So for example, my name Daniel, in that password, I would put a uppercase D and then finish spelling Daniel. And then I will put my student ID number directly after that with no spaces in between.
If you have one of our district issued Chromebooks, you're going to have two ways of logging in. You're going to see there are a couple ways. We do have, for our youngest learners in the district, something called a QR code, where Dan is highlighting right now. We use an application program called Clever, and this would be a badge that allows the student to automatically get into their Google account without having to type in that username and password, because we know that can become cumbersome. Otherwise, if you don't have the QR code, you can just hit the sign in with a different account button, and that's where you would put in the district email address for your child and their password.
Now, getting in a Chromebook is pretty straightforward, but not all students will be working on Chromebooks. Some may be working on different PCs or different MacBooks or desktops. So the key to getting started with working well in our Google platform is getting everybody signed in correctly to the Google Chrome browser. The Chrome browser is separate from the Google accounts, and if you can manage your Chrome browser in an effective way, that will make the learning experience that much easier to access for your students.
So we were talking about Clever for K-6 families. There is a very simple way to utilize that Clever badge we were talking about. Your teachers may be sending these home or giving you access to these, and you can print them out, and that would allow you to log on to the district-owned device. We do have the portal, which will always work for Wappinger School District, and that's the web address. It's www.clever.com/in/Wappingers. And that will give them the access to the Clever page.
So as we move forward, we're going to model all this after we go through this quick presentation. So if you're not taking this all in, we understand it's a lot, but we'll break it down step by step to see what it would look like as a user. So once you get signed into Chrome and you're signed into the Chromebook, where you will always begin is going to Google. So you can go to www.google.com, and that will open up the key for you to enter the digital learning environment that Wappingers has established.
Yeah, it's very simple. You hit that sign in button. So we're talking about, any grades K through 12 can use the sign in format if you decide not to use the QR badge, but you would hit sign in right there. And that's where you would then populate that username with your first name dot last name at k12.wcsdny.org, and then you would put in your student password and ID number. And this is just showing the same thing. That's where you would enter the email, click next, and then you'd enter that password.
And please remember that password is case sensitive. So let's break it down and model for you what that would look like from beginning to end to signing into the Chrome browser and then also accessing the Google Classroom for the learning environment. There's a few things I want to point out, and you can reference these materials on how to do it in our parent help page, which we'll direct you to at the end. But you can see on my screen, I have a Chrome browser open, and I have a way to personalize this browsing experience to make it easier for students by using Chrome profiles. So if you are logged into Chrome, on the upper right-hand corner of your browser window, you'll see a small icon. It may have your profile picture in it, or it may have nothing in it. This is where you can create what's called a Chrome profile. So by clicking on this, I have options to create different profiles or different Chrome users for each one of my family members. That makes it easy to switch between different accounts. So if you are not using a Chromebook and you're using another device, the best thing to do is set up different Chrome profiles. To do that, you'll click on the small icon on the top, and then you will add a Chrome profile by clicking the add button. You can type the name of your student right here where it says add person. You don't have to put in the full name. You can put a first name, you can put a nickname. This is all unique to you, as you can differentiate from your different Chrome profiles. You do not have to choose an icon, and you can hit add. This is going to open up a completely new browser window that is going to be unique to your individual students. So if you have 2 or 3 students at home, or you have your Chrome account and your students are working on your device and they want a separate profile, not so they don't mix up with your work, this is the way to do it. Once that window opens up, you are already a Chrome user, so you can click sign in, and it's going to bring in that sign in screen that we saw in the presentation. So once that loads up, I will click to enter the email, which is the student first name dot last name at k12.wcsdny.org, and then hit the next button, and I can enter that password. Please remember capital first letter, name, ID number, no spaces.
The one thing I just want to mention as Dan is finishing this up is this is specifically for any machine that is not a Chromebook. If you are on a Chromebook, you can only have one account at a time. So you'd be logging into your student's account, whether it's via their email address on the, when it first fires up the Chromebook, or if you're using the QR code.
I would also recommend, if you're using a Chromebook with multiple students, After one student is done, I would recommend shutting it down and then restarting it and signing in with the new student. That will clear out all the temporary data files and make the Chromebook easier to use. So once you start building your Chrome profile, it's asking to link your data. It's not controlling any data on your desktop. It does not have access to your desktop. This is allowing all of our Wappingers applications, our extensions for differentiation, everything we need to enhance the learning environment for students is going to be linked to this Chrome account. It does not have access to any other Chrome profiles, and it does not have access to any private information on your computer. So I'm going to link that data, and it's going to start, and it's going to ask me to sync. So I'm going to sync my student accounts. So I will hit yes, I'm in, and some things you're going to see happening. On the upper right, you're going to see different what's called Chrome extensions start populating. These will be pushed out to students directly from the district or added by individual teachers to meet different learning needs that your students may have. So whether it's something for differentiation, for different IEP purposes, or different tools that students will be using, it will automatically populate in your Chrome browser. So you can see this is a separate experience just for the one student. So if you are ready to go and you're ready to access your Google Classroom, there are multiple ways of accessing it. You can come into the URL window and type in classroom.google.com, and that will take you there. Or you can come to what we call the waffle, click on the waffle, and click on Google Classroom.
One thing you'll notice is as Dan has the Google Classroom loading, you're going to see that the little C at the top right of the circle and the small circle and the big C are matching. That means that that Chrome profile and that Google account are synced correctly, and it's not going to be an access issue when you're trying to complete assignments or log into Google Meets or do any of the work that your students are required to be doing.
So once you get to Google Classroom, it's going to take you to your classroom dashboard, and this you will see cards for different classes that your student is a part of. Most classes I will go with a naming format where you have the teacher's name and the school year and maybe subject to go along with it to differentiate it between their different classes. You'll see sometimes they're already enrolled in a class, or they may have been invited and you see the join button. Either way, you click on the card or click on join to go into the class. There's a few things you can see from this dashboard itself. You can see in the card some upcoming assignments that are already there. So that kind of gives you an intro. You also see a to-do list and a calendar. If you look at the to-do list, and I'll get into this a little more as we get in, but you will see the to-do list broken down by different categories. You will see overall in all of your classes, what assignments are due this week, what assignments are due next week, and then what assignments are due after that. So any assignment that the teacher has up with a due date, it will be organized in that to-do list. So I can see all of the work that is upcoming and that I need to do. I can look at work that I'm missing by clicking on this tab. I don't have any, so this is showing what I have not turned in and when those due dates were. Now, these are older due dates. So these are things that I could click on and make up those assignments. I can also click on done, and it will show me all the assignments that I've completed and whether it's turned in without a grade or if the teacher has graded it and returned it to me. From your class dashboard page, this to-do list is for all of your classes. I will show you how to look at individual classes as well. So we will take that look and model what it's like to access assignments, different types of assignments in Google Classroom. So I'm ready to join a class. I click on the card and it's going to open up the student class. I can see a few things. What it opens up to is something called the stream. And we have some announcements that are just listed here. This is just an update of the latest things that were done, that were posted in Google Classroom. Depending on the teacher's workflow, and how they communicate with their students and with you as parents. You may see assignments posted in the stream. You may not see assignments posted in the stream. Either way, it's okay, because you really want to get in the habit of not accessing your student work through the stream. You're going to access it through the section over here called classwork. So if you want a breakdown of the different assignments and see how it's organized and look at the workflow, you will click on the classwork tab. What you'll see, you want to take over? Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you a break.
Thank
So
you.
once you get to the classwork tab, you're going to see this is going to vary based on the teacher, because every teacher likes to organize their classroom differently. It's the same thing for their virtual learning environment. So when you first get into this, you'll notice that you're in that specific class. And then on the left, you have a whole, it's like a table of contents. These are the topics. So if you need to jump to a certain part or a certain point in time, this list will get longer and longer. This is what the topics are. So maybe it's math, maybe it's the week, maybe it's the day. Every teacher is going to vary based on what works for them and their management style and what's going to work with the students. Okay, they're going to collaborate and figure out what's the best way so all of the work gets completed and everybody's showing up for class and so forth. So you can see here, if we look at our first topic at the top, it says welcome to class. These are assignments that are due, okay, September 11th, and we'll go through those. I can automatically see, just looking at it, it tells me the due date. It tells me the name of the assignment very quickly. It also will tell me the type by the circle right there as well. That question mark tells me it's a question, okay, that I have to answer as the student. And it says it's assigned in green. So I know that it's assigned, and then I can hit view question. Once I hit view question, it's going to open up and let me answer in my type my answer in on the right hand side here, where I have to describe what makes me happy, and it can include anything about my family, activities, or pets. I'm going to see that the point scale is 100 points. So I type in my answer. And then this is a big component. Please make sure that turn in is always clicked. That lets the teacher know that the work is done. I'm waiting feedback, grading, or maybe we need to meet, discuss more options if I need something clarified. But if you don't hit turn in, the teacher's not going to know that the work was completed.
And if you have to communicate privately with the teacher, you can put a private comment over here. Any questions, anything you may need more help with, you can put it here and it notifies the teacher via email. So you don't have to open up your email and send a separate question to the teacher about how to work on an assignment. You can put it right in the private comments of the assignment so the teacher knows the exact assignment and what the question is. So we just modeled one type of assignment that you may be turning in your digital learning environment. So I'm going to hit turn in, and then I won't be able to make changes after I hit submit. So I'm going to turn that in.
Turning in.
And I can see that that's here. If this has become a discussion, I can see classmates' answers. If it's not a discussion, only the teacher will be able to see it. If it's a discussion board, I can look at classmate answers and reply over here. I can go back and we will look at some different types of assignments that you may be accessing in your Google Classroom. So one type is the direct question in Google Classroom. Sometimes your teacher may be attaching a Google form to an assignment. So in order to open an assignment, and I'll go through these in order, you click on it and it will bring up anything that's attached to it and will allow you to view assignment. I could click on the form here, but I like to get in the habit of clicking on view assignment so I can see everything. Here is my work. If I need to add or create something specific, I can do it here. If I have a question for the teacher, I can post a private comment here. So if they ask you to fill out a form, you will see the icon. When I hover over it, I can click on it. Notice everything I open goes to a new tab. So if I need to go back to the directions, I can click back a tab, look at it over here, come back over and look at the form. Sorry, let me just close that out. So there's different types of questions in a form that you may answer. I've just given you two of the most common, but you can just come in, put in your name, select your class that is your favorite, and then type in your responses. And once you're done, you can hit submit. So a few things will happen. Sometimes teachers will allow you to submit another response. You can do that there. Other times they will not allow you to submit another response, and it will just say thank you very much. So once you've completed the form, you can go back to your, either close your form app or go back to the other tab, and then you can mark that assignment as done. It's always nice to mark those as done, because then it will show the teacher that that has been completed. So you can see I've done it, everything's attached, and that assignment is complete.
Yeah, and that one says mark is done. The other one said turn in, but you can see in the right corner it does say turned in as well. That is your cue that you know that work was done or turned in, and that again alerts the teacher that those assignments were completed.
So I want to just go through some different types of assignment and how to access them. One common thing is an assignment where students are required to write something in a document and submit it to the teacher. So you can see here, when I open up this opinion letter assignment, the instruction says, please create a Google Doc in this assignment to write your opinion letter. So in order to do that, I always go the habit. Don't try and do anything from here. View the full assignment. I can see the instructions, I can ask questions, but I also have the opportunity to create my document for my opinion letter or for whatever it is. So I can click the plus button and hit add or create, and I can create a Google Doc. I can create a slides presentation, a spreadsheet, or a drawing right from here. So this is something you should be aware of. I can also attach files that I already have created, but we're not going to worry about that in this session. So if I create a new doc, I can click it here. It creates it for me in the assignment. So I never have to go anywhere else to look for it. If I decide I don't want to work on it now, I can close it out and come back and reopen it. And then I can click on the document as it opens up in a new tab. And then it already has my name on it, the name of the assignment, and then I can begin my essay.
Best part is the student name is already on top. No more guessing.
I'm not going to continue writing about my opinions because I don't think we have time for that. But there's a good thing you should know about these Google documents and any Google product. Every keystroke is saved. So you never have to worry about losing anything. Everything is automatically saved. If you go through and accidentally delete something, or if you move things around and want to regain what you changed, you can always come up here to your version history, open that up, and restore earlier versions just by clicking on the version and hitting restore. So that is a great feature. What's also great is the teacher and the students both have access to these documents at all times. So if your student needs help writing or creating, the teacher can be on the same Google document and working with the student side by side. It's fantastic. The student can keep working, and then when they're all done, they can come up here and hit turn in, and that will turn in the assignment in Google Classroom. I will point out that if I do turn it in as a student, but I realize I need to go back and change it, if I click on the document, I cannot make any changes because I've already submitted it. The teacher is the owner of the document, and I can only view it. If it's before the due date and I want to continue working on it, all I have to do is go back to this assignment, unsubmit it, and resubmit it. Unsubmit. Now I can edit it again, and then I can turn it in when I'm all done. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Andrew?
No, that's pretty much for Google Docs. That was a big thing. So
that is a big thing. So I want to thank you for your patience as we go through. There's a few more examples that I think are important. So, sometimes teachers will attach documents for students to fill out. So the instructions are here. And then once again, same workflow, view assignment. But instead of having add or create, I can see a document is already created for me. So if I click on it, I have a template for me to fill out. So this is asking me to complete a reflection about the writing assignment I just turned in. So when a Google Doc is formatted correctly for student interaction, the teacher will include spaces for the student to write their thoughts in here. So they can fill out a digital template of their work. The same things go with revision history and turning in. So when I'm all done, I can turn that in and submit that to my teacher. I always go back to the assignment, make sure I hit turn in. That way the teacher knows that I have completed it. So that is a big step that you have to really keep in mind as you're working in this digital learning environment.
Yeah, it's no different if we were in school and turning in assignments, in a non-digital format. Same thing applies here. It's just in a digital format. Got to hit turn in so we can ensure that the credit is given for the work that's been completed.
So I want to look at another example of types of assignments that your students may be getting. One is if they're giving a Google slide deck and they're asked to drag and drop and move and add information into a Google slide. So viewing the assignment, I can read the instructions and open up my assignment in order to complete it. Again, if I need to look back, it's opening a new tab. So if there's a slide deck that a student is expected to work in, it is best, well, it's not best, you do not view it in present mode. You view it in the edit mode. That way your students can drag and drop or type in different things on a Google slide. A Google slide is more than a presentation. We like to think of Google Slides as the Swiss Army knife of tech integration. It really is like a personalized interactive whiteboard and learning space for students. So a lot of times teachers will create a slide with manipulatives or different things for students to move, to answer questions, to write in boxes. You can also see that the teachers utilize all the space in the slide deck. So maybe there'll be directions. A lot of times teachers will put their asynchronous instruction directly on the slide. So if there's a hyperlink there to watch that video, you can click on that video and we can see a teacher explanation of what the activity should be that students are expected to complete. So this one is modeling. As I hit play, I made sure there was no audio on it. It's just a demonstration. So you shouldn't be hearing anything, but it's showing the student what to do in order to complete the assignment. So after I've learned about that from watching the video, I can go back to my tab or go back to the instructional video or read the instructions here. And as I look through, it's telling me to grab a shape, drag it over to the red line, then double click in the box and give the measurement for it. And then I can drag that away and bring the next one over. So now the student has some manipulatives to work with, and then the teacher can gauge and have some formative assessment data from the student understanding as they evaluate the different slides. So sometimes you will have to interact with a Google slide. Once you are done, Google Slides does not have a turn in button over here. I can just close it out and then remembering to go back and turn in that assignment from here.
Turning in.
Every keystroke is saved within Google and the whole Google atmosphere. So all of that work is saved automatically. So if a student can't complete everything right away, they always have the option to come back and finish it later as well.
So I have 3 more assignments that I'd like to model for you. So we're going to look at week of 921, and we're going to look at scientific method. One tool that our teachers utilize, especially with our younger learners, because some interacting with the keyboard and typing and doing a lot of things is very time consuming. And our older students use it as well, is an application called Flipgrid. And Flipgrid is a video response form that is all protected. It's all password protected. It's only visible to either the teacher or to the students in the class. To do it, it provides you a link. I always go to view assignment. It just makes everything easier to follow along. But if there's any assignment with the link, you can click on it from Classroom and it will open up. So the applications that we use, there's things like Flipgrid, Edpuzzle, some other things that are out there, are all single sign-on. So the students do not need different usernames and passwords for different programs. So you'll see with anything we take outside of Google Classroom, if the students are supposed to interact with it, it will ask them to join with Google. Every application that we use is compliant with EdLaw 2D. It protects students' PII, their personal information, and so it is secure. We can hit join with Google, choose the account, and then it takes you into the application. So I have an assignment for science. It's telling me to create a video that explains the scientific method. Feel free to use the whiteboard. So the instructions are here. I can record a response. I can do this on a Chromebook, on a laptop. I can even do it on a phone as well, accessing Flipgrid. It's going to ask to allow your microphone and camera. I can do that. And it's telling me I have 1 minute and 30 seconds to record my video. There's a few things I can do to set it up. I can create sticky notes. And this is for me. If I wanted to create notes so I can read off of the screen, I can do that for myself. And then also under effects, I have a whiteboard that I can use and graph paper if I wanted to draw out a problem and explain something. So those are some of the features that are there. And then when I'm ready to record, I can hit the button, record my response, go through the process. I can pause it and take a break if I need, and then just follow the cues to go to next, review, record my response, go through the process. I can pause it, continue, take a picture, and then submit that into my teacher. It will upload it to the Flipgrid, and I can submit that and turn that in, and I can go complete. The important thing is, as you can probably guess what I'm going to say, is coming back into Google Classroom and marking that assignment as done. That way the teacher knows that it has been completed. Andrew, do you want to take over Edpuzzle?
Sure. So Edpuzzle is another tool where teachers will be embedding video into their lessons. So the students will have the opportunity to look at a video, whether it's teacher created, whether it's something they found that's beneficial to their specific content area. And then once they have that, there's going to be questions embedded throughout the Edpuzzle presentation. Again, it's the same thing as Dan has mentioned. It goes and it works very well within the Google platform, which is why it's a tool that we use. So same idea, you hit view assignment, you get to this format, and then you can click directly on the Edpuzzle. It's going to bring you into the Edpuzzle platform. And again, we're always using the single sign-on with Google. So we hit sign in with Google. We're going to allow our account. And now I have the access to the video. You're going to see I could hit play if I was the student on the video, right straight in the middle, or on the bottom left corner. There is a little slider as it goes on. So we would watch this entire video. We're not going to let it go all the way to the end, but I can.
Okay, I enabled skipping, so I can.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
Your students more often than not will not be able to skip in the video, because what it does is as the video goes along, it's going to stop in certain areas where the teacher can ask questions, provide notes, and give students a chance to interact with the video. So they may be posting their asynchronous learning videos, so their screencasts of themselves up through Edpuzzle, and then putting questions for understanding right as they watch the video. Normally students wouldn't be able to skip, but I'm going to skip. So as they watch the video and they come to a question.
Dirt. We call this land Kemet, the black land. It's where we grow all of our crops.
it will stop, and then it will prompt the students to type in their answer here, and they could re-watch that section. They will not have to skip if the teacher didn't let enabled skip, and then they can go ahead and submit that question. Once they're done, they can hit continue, and it will take them through to all the questions. So they may have short answer, they may have multiple choice, and then as they continue through, they'll be able to read notes that the teacher has put in there for them to pay attention or explain something some more, and then go through the process. And then once they're done with the Edpuzzle video, as I say with every other assignment, come back over and mark that as complete.
Marking as done.
And again, that'll alert the teacher that the assignment has been done and it's ready for feedback and grading.
So notice how I'm always going back to the classwork. The last type of assignment is something called Pear Deck that is used quite often. It takes interactivity into a Google slideshow. So once again, we have the link, we view the assignment, we come through here, and students are asked to sign in with their Google account. So it's very nice that we use everything that's all integrated together. So this is a little interactive. I am feeling wonderful today. Just a little slide, but this will bring in interactive presentations for the teacher that gives them the ability to add text, to add shapes, and also to highlight or write on the screen. So here, the teacher is asking to circle the noble gases. I can use the pencil here. I can choose a color, and then I'll be able to write directly on the screen. I can also adjust the width of my pen stroke by using the sizer. This is all student paced. So once I'm done with this, I can come over to the next and follow the instructions. Teacher wants me to draw a hydrogen atom. I can use the same tools to draw a hydrogen atom. Some other things that it may ask is to drag the dot to indicate your answer. You'll find the dot over here, and you can drag it to see which hemisphere is experiencing winter and drop it over there. So there's a lot of interactivity in these Pear Deck slides, and you'll notice it's all over here. So I can use the word bank to label the diagram. So maybe if I wanted to use text, I can click on my text, click on here, and label the different areas. I can always move this around to make it clearer. And sometimes the teacher is looking for them to fill in a different document. Maybe this is about their science lab, showing their claim, evidence, reasoning. It's all interactive in a Pear Deck. And then if there's a question and answer, the student will click here and answer. When the slideshow is done, the work goes back to the teacher. And then what's always a good habit is to go back to your assignments and mark them as done.
Marking as done.
You can see I've now completed all of my work for my Google Classroom. If I want to keep track of all my assignments for here, I can come to the stream, click view all, and now I can see, well, here's all of my assignments, and I can see they are turned in, everything except for that open letter assignment because I unsubmitted it and I didn't turn it in again. I kind of did that on purpose. When it's graded, I'll be able to see all the grades there, and anything I'm missing, I'm here. I do not see this opinion writing because the due date has not passed yet, but I can always click on that to view the details. Like, you know why it's missing? Because I didn't hit turn in. So if I go and hit that turn in,
Turning in.
and I check my to-do list now, you will see that that has updated, and I can keep track of all my assignments. So everything is turned in, and I am just awaiting a grade.
Right, and that's where you'll be able to see it's kind of like a quick dashboard, an overall view for the, what the student, what your child is still has to do, which has been returned, what is still missing. So it's kind of a snapshot into seeing what still needs to be done. And then also for the teacher, they have a to-do list, so they know what has to be graded. So it synchronizes and it's very fluid to go back and forth. I know, as we talk about, this is the main platform right here that the teachers will be using for the remote learning. And you can see it's pretty simplistic in the sense that there's only the 3 tabs, as Dan has started to go over, with the stream, the classwork, and the people. The people tab it just shows you who's in your class. And right here, it's just the teachers. There's no other students in this class because we've set it up as a demo class, but Dan and I are the only teachers in here. It's a quick platform as well to be able to contact your teacher just by hitting the envelope, which will send an email directly to the teacher. We do have email turned on throughout the district right now for all students, okay, so that they do have that access as well to be able to communicate with their teacher. Most times, most of the students will be able to interact with that private comment that we talked about before as well, directly on assignments or questions and so forth within the Google Classroom platform.
Thank you. So I think that will wrap up our intro into Google Classroom. I just want to make sure.
Well, yeah, it gave us the intro. I do want to hit upon something that a lot of parents may have been getting emails about guardian summaries. Look at that. See, Danny, exactly where I was going with it. So guardian summaries are going to include the following for all of a student's Google Classrooms, unless the teacher has not turned it on. So if there's any missing work, okay, what we just showed you is the student perspective. And obviously you now know how to log in as your child, as your student, using their district provided email address and password. So you can see what the work looks like, what has been graded, what has been turned in, and you can check up on them that way. A guardian summary is something that you would be able to sign up for with your own email address. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a specific Gmail address and a school district one. It's going to give you the opportunity, if the teachers invite you in, to have a guardian summary. If they ask for your email address, they may add it, and then Google Classroom will automatically populate a summary. Now, as the guardian, you will get to choose how often, the frequency you want of the guardian summary. So if you want a daily report on everything for your student, you can have a daily report. Here is a sample weekly guardian summary report. This is a weekly summary, and you can see the student work. You can see what was missing from last week. You can see what's due next week. Notice automatically, if something's missing, it populates the dates in red. So it's a quick indication that something is missing, that your student, maybe they just didn't hit turn in. That could be the case, but something that you definitely want to keep tabs on. You can see all the class activity from last week. So if we look at this example of US history, it shows the assignments when it was posted, discussions, any other assignments, and it's broken down by class. So all of these cards, so the US history, American literature, and marine biology, are all separate cards that would be located on that main screen within Google Classroom. It's going to be the same thing for all of these special areas, library media, and so forth, all those electives that the student may have. They will have a separate Google Classroom for all of those content areas. If you need to change, if you want a daily summary, you would go to your settings where Dan is highlighting right now in the bottom left. Or if you say, this is too much for me, I need to unsubscribe, you could then cancel the guardian summaries at any time as well.
I will want to point out that there is no parent access into our Google Classrooms. All access into our Google Classroom is in our educational domain. So it's only our students and our teachers with our Wappingers email addresses that are allowed to have accounts in Google Classrooms. You can, now it's up to the teacher to enable the guardian summaries. You will need to provide the teacher with your email address. They will populate it, and Google Classroom will automatically send you an email asking if you want to subscribe. If the teacher has enabled it and you're not receiving an email, please check your spam folder. If it's not there, then contact your teacher. However, I will give the caveat, we are all in a distance learning environment. You are going to be working with your student. If you want to keep track and see things that are coming up, you can always log in as your student. You know their username and password. You can log in and see what they're doing. You should also know in Garden Summaries, you have no access to any of the work that is created or submitted. It's only a summary that comes through.
Right. So I know that was a big question that we wanted to touch base upon. And once, some teachers have gotten your emails, it automatically has that email synchronized with your student, your child's account.
Great. So I think that wraps up what we're going. We'll have this slide deck for you, and this will be shared out. I also want to point out that from our homepage, there is a parent resource website that you will be able to access. We have our presentations here. It has an overview of our Google Classroom outlet, Google Classroom for Parents, and then you can see links to Clever if you need to request a Chromebook, Parent Tech Help in Spanish, and then some other tools that we have over here. So please use this as well as a resource, and we'll be posting this video and our other presentations right up here on the Parent Guide to Google Classroom. So you can see it's already there.
Yeah, we have an updated one actually. So it's even, the one that you have just seen us go through is something that we will definitely provide as well. So we have been monitoring. I've been monitoring, as Dan was talking, throughout the classwork section of the Google Classroom, the questions that have been submitted so far, and just wanted to touch base on some of them. Again, tonight's session for the Parent University is strictly based on Google Classroom. So we're going to stick to those questions. Any other questions that you may have, I would just reach out to the appropriate building level administrator, and I'm sure they can help get you the answers that you will need. I know a lot of people were asking about logging on to Google Classroom for their first day. If the teachers have not already invited you to that, okay, you're going to get that probably within the next day. The cards, their login, like Dan showed at the beginning, will either say join, or they will automatically have that rectangular squarish card that says what class it is. Remember, they're going to have many based on classes they're in, special areas, so on and so forth. So there'll be a lot of different cards.
Andrew, can I just pause you in questions? I do want to point out, if you successfully create the Chrome profiles, and again, Chromebook, you do not have to do this. This will automatically happen when they sign in. But if you create the profiles and you click on it here to switch, your Google browser for your student is automatically going to load with the parent resource website, with Google Classroom already loaded up, and with the Wappingers homepage loaded up. So these three tabs will automatically load up if they've created the Chrome profile. So that first day, you'll access the classes right through here.
And those are what the cards are going to look like. So as long as they go to the Waffle or wherever, you're going to see that sometimes they're automatically into the class. If for some reason they are not into the class, you'll see that join button. And that's when you'll just click that join, that blue join button, and you'll automatically then be into the class. If you have that join button, it just means that the teacher has invited your student, your child, into that classroom for their learning atmosphere. As I start to look at the Google Classroom questions, we did talk about Garden Summaries. I know a lot of families were asking about linking their email address. It does not have to be a Gmail email address. So any email that you use would be able to receive the Garden Summary. As Dan mentioned, just ensure that you have checked your spam folder in the event that it does end up there. I know that some people were loving the Garden Summaries. Let me just go through these questions. Some of them are the same. Google Classroom. So synchronous learning. This is a great question. Will the live classes go through Google Classroom each day? I would think yes, they pretty much will. We're going to show you, Dan just has to change profiles real quick, how to turn that on. There it is. So you're going to see right there underneath the word of, the words, the title of the class, Parent University Demo Class. you're going to see what the Meet link is. And so we're going to have a session on Google Meet, but that is how the synchronous learning will take place, is probably through that link. And it should be right on top. You can see it there. It may go away. The teacher may hide it at times. They may change it just for security purposes, but it'll always be back there when they will be meeting with their students in a synchronous atmosphere. So
it will also be in the classwork page under Meet. And just to point out, to reiterate what Andrew said, some teachers may hide their meeting link when they're not using it. So if you go in and don't see a meeting link, don't worry about it. The teacher has hid it from view from the students and is only turning it on for synchronous learning periods.
Right. So I know some people, there was a couple family members that were asking about, we had the WCSD email addresses have been reinstated. The email was sent out on September 4th that all emails were reactivated. So just wanted to touch base on that. Let's see. It's about Google Meets. I know some people are asking about Google Classroom codes. I understand you did reach out to the building level administration. Hopefully by tomorrow, you will be able to get into that classroom. It's always, a good habit. You can definitely log in as your student to ensure that they are in the proper classrooms for their Meet schedules that are starting later this week. We talked about, so if you're having a Chromebook, you're not going to have the Chrome profiles. You will strictly use your daughter's email address to access all of the Google Classrooms. If you sign in as yourself and then try to access it, you're going to have a lot of issues where it's going to say access denied.
I see, will the classes be in the order of periods? Not necessarily. The classes are going to be just in basically the order that teachers have created the class in. So this was the first class that a teacher created, and then the next one. So the newest ones come first. They're not in an order, but most teachers, we've talked about naming conventions where the period numbers will be on the card. So you know specifically what period numbers.
Yep. A lot of questions about the badge. The badge system is pretty much used for our youngest learners in the district, specifically K2, or those who may need it. If you do think it would be a benefit for your child to get a badge, which is just to be printed out on paper, please feel free to reach out to the teacher. They will work with the administration and the computer teaching assistant to get you that badge, that'll make the sign-in process more seamless. If I understand that the Chromebook automatically starts looking for a badge. If you don't have a badge, just hit sign in with a different account, and then you can just put in the student email address and password.
There was a question where parents can go for tech help. It's always good to reach out to the teacher first. They are the prime point, and maybe you have a better relationship with them. They might be able to help you. But on that parent resource webpage, if you click on the parent tech help, this is where you should email. If you need to email someone, you email parent portal. That will get back to you. There's also a Google form here that you can fill out the Google form and submit it. And then one of a member of the tech team will get back to you via email, hopefully able to solve your problem rather quickly. So any things with accessing some of the assignments, I would say your teacher is your prime person. Anything beyond that, you can use the resources here by emailing parent portal or filling out the form that's over here.
A couple questions. If you are not on a Chromebook, accessing and setting up the Chrome profile, that's that small circle in the top right. I understand our cameras, our images of us, Dan was blocking that partially at some point. So we apologize for that, but the small circle in the top right corner is where you'd be able to add those different profiles. So I want to let you know that. A question about mobile device. Can they use the Google Classroom app on iOS devices? You can, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging in regards to the type of assignments that the teacher may be posting. So I wanted to let you know that. Can parents log into the Google Classroom in Chrome using their student ID and password? You know your student ID and password, and we have gone over that. What if you turn in an assignment and the teacher does not receive it? The teacher will receive it. There is every keystroke, as Dan had mentioned, is saved within Google. It's also in a student's Google Drive where they do have unlimited access, so you can always find that assignment and attach it, as Dan had showed, to that assignment to ensure that the teacher is receiving your assignments.
And you should always go back and check that you've hit the turn in button. So you can see, for me as a teacher, I will see everything that's turned in and be able to access all of those assignments. So if a teacher says it's missing or it shows up missing in the to-do list, but you know that it's been done, please go back into the class and make sure that it was turned in, was clicked.
Again, with the clever, again, just reach out to the building level administration and we can help facilitate that process in getting the QR codes for students, across the district. Good question. We have parents who are watching, parents of kindergartners all the way up to 12th grade. It's going to work. Your kindergarten teacher, your 7th grade teacher, your 12th grade teacher will be able to utilize Google Classroom, the same platform, for consistency to help you guys out. I know someone just asked about tech support. Dan talked about the parent portal email address. So that is fine. We talked about the guardian summaries. Again, doesn't have to be a Gmail address at all. Basically, you will get an invite email once it's turned on by the teacher, and it'll, they'll put your email in, and then you would just have to accept it and choose if you want it to be a weekly or daily summary report.
Yeah, you can have multiple emails as long as the teacher inputs some of those, all the emails into their invite guardian, then multiple people will receive that.
Someone is asking about, can more than one family member get the summary? Absolutely. And you can drag and drop the classes, right?
Right, I did forget to mention that. Thank you for ever put that in. Sometimes you just forget, but you can rearrange your dashboards in the class. So thank you for that reminder. Appreciated.
So I'm thinking a lot of the teachers, if they have not reached out to you with the Google Classroom codes, I would assume that would happen very shortly. Again, you can always check your child's Google account. If there is an issue regarding access, please do email that parent portal, and they will check into the Google account. So
yeah, a lot of teachers they're not sharing classroom codes. Some are, most aren't, and we're automatically populating the classrooms. So it'll definitely be there by Thursday, of course. So once you just go to that classroom dashboard, your student will be enrolled in a class if a code was not sent.
And I think that pretty much has summed up the questions.
Right. Last one I see was, can you get emails on phone? Yes, as long as, I recommend anything on a device, you use the Google apps and not anything native to the phone. So if you want to get your class emails on your phone, get the Gmail app and then sign into the Gmail app with your Wappinger's account. That way it does not download emails onto your phone.
Right. And I know that Mr. Lokema, Dr. Cardwell, Mr. Carrion, they sent out the continuity of learning email. So, and they also had their presentations regarding all that. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your building level administration, and I'm sure they can answer any of those if you submitted a question in regards to that. But as I look, I think that is pretty much summing up all of the questions, Dan, that we have received thus far. So that was as of 7:57. So we thank you for joining us tonight. There's going to be a whole slew of presentations based on different areas as we move through this process. We do have another one that Dan and I will be setting up in regards to specifically Google Meet. So hopefully we'll have that set and ready to go sometime next week. We'll make sure that the email is sent out so you know when that presentation will be taking place. But other than that, we thank you all for joining us. And obviously, we're all in this together, and we hope your child has a great first day of school.
Thank you very much for joining us. Be well.
Take care, everybody.